Hello and welcome to the Stirling Highland Games. This is the Balaclava Pipes and Drums. I am Pipe Major Stuart Reid. Our first set will be IC Mull, Green Hills and Battlesoar with the time signature 3-4. 1, 2.
Hello everybody and welcome to this year's very unique and innovative Stirling Highland Games. The Stirling Highland Games is a perfect example of an organisation that continues to show resilience, innovation and determination to adapt to the ever-changing circumstances that we find ourselves in, whilst continuing to showcase Stirling to the world, and I'm delighted that so many of you are able to virtually enjoy these games in a way that hasn't been done before. We really hope that this year's Stirling Highland Games inspire you to visit the region in person to sample firsthand the high quality and world class events, attractions, experiences, accommodation and food and drink on offer. Stirling very much is open for business. Wherever you are, we really hope you enjoy what promises to be a fantastic programme of activity. Thank you and enjoy.
Thank you for that great message of support, Neil. Good afternoon and welcome to the 2021 Stirling Highland Games programme. It's been another challenging year for all members of the Royal Scottish Highland Games Association, with only a handful of events being able to mark their respective Games days. At Stirling, we've been busy trying to replicate on film what it would be like if you'd attended in person. I am delighted that we've managed to create 3 fantastic episodes for you. With a mix of Highland Games competitions, a showcase of food and drink, producers, cafes and restaurants from around Scotland, a cooking demo with the brilliant Tony Singh, and finally some creative arts, which includes a talk and some performances from Stirling Gaelic Choir. We're now heading straight over to the heavies events, which is supported by Specsavers Stirling. Well, good afternoon and welcome to Stirling Highland Games. We're kicking off the heavies events with the £16 hammer. And first up we have Murdo Masterson from Dumbeg, and then we move straight on to Stuart Anderson from Lochern Head. Third up today is Pete Hart from Glenella. And we have Kel Randalls from Falkirk. And last of the heavies to compete is Neil Elliott from Helensburgh. As you can see, we've basically cut down on the filming to go straight from one to the next. So we're back to Murdo there, and then straight on to Stuart. And we've got Pete doing his second throw. And Kyle just setting himself up. And finally Neil's second throw. And that's us straight on to the third throw. Murdo giving the hammer a bit of encouragement there. Kel not too sure about what happened there. And Neil finishes off with his third and final throw. So we're moving straight on to the £22 hammer, and we have Stuart Anderson up first. And he's quickly followed by Kyle. And then we have Neil up next. And then we have Murdo last and just getting himself set. As you'll see, there's only 4 athletes competing in this event as Pete had to withdraw. And then we have a great throw from Kyle. And that is Neil up for his second throw. And Murdo throwing his, although it seems to maybe have come out of his hands. And Kyle just getting set. Another good throw there by Kyle. And then Murdo steps in. And that's the results up there for the £22 hammer, and we have a new ground record with Kyle Randall's at 107 foot 6 inches. So we move on to the £16 shot, and Neil Elliott was up first. Followed by Murdo Masterson. And third up we've got Stuart Anderson. And then we have Pete Hart. And that was Kyle Randall's there. Bit of a competition between Neil Elliott and Pete Hart there, which is great to see. But up just now is Murdo, and he's competing with Kyle at the other end, which is fantastic. And Stuart Anderson just getting himself set. And let's see what Pete does with this one. Back to Kyle Randall's now, getting himself set. And we have a great throw by Kyle Randall's. And then straight on to Neil Elliott. And there's a great competition between him and Pete Hart. A great throw there by Murdo, challenging Kyle. And Pete seems quite happy with that one. Kyle not too happy with that last throw. And that moves us on to the results of the £16 shot, and we have another new ground record with Murdo Masterson coming in first there with a throw of 49 foot. So straight on to the £22 shot with Murdo making his first throw, and that's followed by Stuart, who's then followed by Pete Hart. And now we have Kyle Randall's. Well, Kyle didn't seem quite happy about that one. However, Neil did seem quite happy with his straight afterwards, and we're straight on to Murdo Masterson. And then we have Pete Hart back up. He seems quite happy with that one. And we're back to Kyle Randall's. See what Kyle can do with this one. There we have a great throw. And Murdo making a great throw there. And then it's back to Pete. And Kel Randalls is now up for his next attempt. And we have a fantastic throw there by Kyle. And then we move on to Neil. And that brings us to the conclusion of the £22 shot, and we actually have another new ground record with Kyle Randalls at 42 foot 10 inches. And we have Pete Hart up first on the £28 weight for distance, who is followed by Kyle Randalls, who's just getting himself set. And we have a big throw from Kyle there. And it's Neil Elliott now. We have a great throw from Neil. And now Murdo Masterson's on there. And we have a good solid throw there. And last we've got Stuart Anderson. Pete makes his next throw, followed by Kyle, who's just getting himself set again. And then we've got Neil back up. Followed by Murdo. We have a great throw from Murdo there. Stuart just setting himself. And we're back to Pete. And it looks like Kyle's up for his next attempt, which is a big one. And on to Neil, getting himself set. Not a good throw from Neil there. Let's see what Murdo can do here, whether he can challenge first place. There we have a great throw. And Stuart making his next throw there. And that brings us to the conclusion of the 28 pound weight for distance. And we have a new ground record again from Kyle Randalls at 74 foot and 2 inches. So the athletes are straight on to the 56 pound weight for distance. And first up is Kyle Randalls. And second to throw is Neil Elliott. And Murdo Masterson just getting himself ready. And now Stuart Anderson's up. And then Pete Hart's turn. And back to Kyle Randalls. As Neil, well, that won't count, that one. And Murdo steps up to take his next throw. That looks like a better one. And Stuart Anderson's done better in his next attempt. And straight on to Pete Hart. And it looks like Pete's done better in his attempt there as well. So we're back to Kyle Randalls. And we move on to Neil's third throw. And now Murdo just prepping himself. And last is Pete Hart. And there we have the 56 pound weight for distance results up, and first place is Kyle Randalls with 34 foot and 10 inches. So we move on to everyone's favourite, the caber. And we have Stuart Anderson from Lochgarn Head setting himself up. Stuart gets his grip right and off he goes. Not to be for that one for Stuart. So they quickly swap over, and Pete Hart is next up. Pete manages to get it up and get control of the caber, and off he goes. But nope, that wasn't for Pete either. So the changeover happens, and Kyle Randalls is not up next. Kel just sets himself up and off he goes. Let's see what Kel can do. And he's managed to get it over. And so the swap over to Neil Elliott, who's up next for the caber. Neil just composing himself, there we go, up it goes. And Neil gets it over. And it's now passed over to Murdo Masterson. Excellent, and Murdo's happy with that. And we're back to Stuart again for his second attempt. Stuart just getting himself set, off he goes. Unfortunately not again for Stuart, it didn't go. So it's over to Pete Hart for his next attempt. So the changeover happens and Kyle Randalls is not up next. Kyle just sets himself up and off he goes. Let's see what Kyle can do. And he's managed to get it over. And so the swap over to Neil Elliott, who's up next for the caber. Neil just composing himself, there we go, up it goes. And Neil gets it over. And it's now passed over to Murdo Masterson. Excellent, and Murdo's happy with that. And we're back to Stuart again for his second attempt. Stuart just getting himself set, off he goes. Unfortunately not again for Stuart, it didn't go. So it's over to Pete Hart for his next attempt. And off Pete goes. Unfortunately not in that one either. Neil Elliott up next, and just getting himself ready to pull it up. There we go, and away he goes. Oh, Neil not so happy about that one. And there we have the results in for the caber, and as we can see, both Kyle Randalls and Murdo Masterson share first equal. So the last event for the heavies is the 56 pound weight over the bar, and first up is Pete Hart. Kyle sets himself up and straight into it, and over it goes. Next up is Neil Elliott. Unfortunately took the bar off. And then we have Murdo Masterson up next. And over it goes. And last in this event is Stuart Anderson. And Stuart gets it over as well. So we're back to Pete Hart. No, I think that was just below. And on to Neil Elliott. And Neil makes it over. So just Pete to see if he can get it over this initial height. There we go, that's all athletes managed to get over that 11 foot. So Kyle steps up and immediately puts it over the 12 foot. Next up is Neil. Unfortunately puts it under the bar. Doesn't seem happy with his grip there. And that's Murdo just getting himself in the position he wants. And up and over. And last up is Stuart Anderson. Unfortunately, that took the bar out. And we're back to Pete. See how he does. But nope, not that one. No success. Back to Stuart Anderson, see how he does. Unfortunately that one was under as well. And we're straight back to Pete Hart, who's below the bar on that occasion. Quick turnaround and back to Stuart Anderson for his last attempt. But no, he knocked the bar over there. So we move on. Kyle Randall's up next, 14 foot. And Kyle puts that straight over. On to Murdo. unfortunately took the bar out there, so that doesn't count. He moves on to his second attempt. And he clears it with that. So only two left in here. We've got Kyle up first, and the bar is now up to 15 foot. And there we go, Kyle puts it clean over. So Murdo steps up to see how you can do. Nope, doesn't quite make it, goes under the bar on his first attempt. So he sets himself up, this is his second attempt. And he hit the bar, so it doesn't count, and he goes to his third and final attempt. So, unfortunately, nope, I didn't make it on his third. Either bit of great effort there from Murdo. And we have the results in there for the 56 pound weight over the bar. And there we have it, the end of the heavyweights competition with Kyle Randalls taking the Specsavers Cup. Well done to him, and well done to all the competitors that were involved. And thanks to the judges, Stuart and Davey, who helped from Blackford Highland Games.
So for our next set, we'll be playing Scotland Brave, Rowntree, Bonnie Galloway and Cockney Jocks as a 4-4. And ready, 1, 2.
Next up we have the adaptive competition. We're delighted to welcome these athletes to Stirling for this year. I know the president has been working with the Wounded Highlands president for a number of months on making this work, so it's great to have everyone here. David Dent's first up, and David is part of the seated category that will be competing today. Next up is Trish Lawson, and Trish is competing in the female standing neuromuscular category. Mark Toner is competing in the standing upper limb loss category today. And we have Kevin Bowie, who will be competing in the standing neuromuscular category today. And Jim Holborn, who will also be competing in the standing neuromuscular category. And last we've got Stephen Campbell, and Stephen will also be competing in the standing neuromuscular category. So good luck to all athletes, and we hope we have a great day. And we're straight over to the £12 shot with David Dent. And next up on the £16 shot. And Kevin Bowie is competing in the £16 shot as well. And Mark Toner just getting himself set. Again, Mark's on the £16 shot. And we've got Trish Lawson stepping in, and Trish is competing with a £12 shot. And then we have Jim Holborn, again competing in the £16 shot. And we're back to David for his second attempt. And Stuart just marking out his line. Apologies, that was actually Stephen, not Stuart. Stephen Campbell. Up now though is Kevin Bowie. That won't count. and we move on to Mark, who's just getting himself set up. And we go back to Trish Lawson. And Jim picks up the £16 shot to take his next throw. And we're back at David now. As some of you might know, David was actually a nurse in the NHS in the army, specialising in battlefield trauma and critical care. And that was Stephen up there. This is actually his first year, so it's great to see him taking part. And that was Kevin making a throw, and we're over to Mark Toner now. And Trish just getting set for our final throw, and it's a good one. Jim now back up for his next throw. As some of you already know, Jim's the chairman and creator of the Wounded Highlanders. So now we move on for the weight for distance, and David Dent's up first with the £14. And he's followed by Stephen Campbell on the £28. Weight for distance. And Kevin Bowie makes his first throw. Followed by Mark, who's just getting himself geared up. Unfortunately, he oversteps there, so that won't count. And now we have Trish back up. And now Jim Holborn. So we're back to David Dent now in the seated category. And Stephen Campbell takes his next throw. And with a great effort there by Mac Toner. Quickly followed there by Trish Lawson. And we're straight over to Jim Holborn again. And there we have a better throw by Mark there. And a great throw by Jim Holborn. So we quickly move on to the hammer. Both David and Stephen there having great efforts, and we're on to Kevin now. Good throw there by Mark Toner. And then up steps Trish to take her throw. And we're back to a great throw there by Jim Holborn. And we've got a better throw there by David. And we got a great throw there by Stephen Campbell. And Trish up for our next throw. And we're back to Jim again. He gives us another solid throw there. So now we move on to the caber, and we have David Dent up first. David just getting himself set. Unfortunately not to be, gave it his all. Now that moves on to Jim Holborn. Jim just getting himself set, getting the balance right, and off he goes. There we go, Jim manages to get it over. Now it's passed on to Mark. And Mark's pretty happy about that. Mark's World's Strongest Disabled Man 2020 silver medalist, so it's good to see. And it's gone back to David now, having a bit of chat with the other athletes on what he's going to try and do. Just getting the balance right. Another great effort by David. And it gets passed over to Jim. Let's see what Jim can do this time. That wasn't to be that time. So it goes over to Stephen. And there is a great effort there. And next up is Mark. And that's another great effort from Mark there. So that's the results in. Delighted to obviously say we have some world records broken there. Jim Holborn in the hammer and the shot. And we also have Mark Toner in the hammer and the weight for distance. And it's really great to see Trish Lawson in all three of our events, the hammer, the weight for distance and the shot. Well done to everyone.
So, our next set with the balaclava pipes and drums is 6/8 Atholl Highlanders, Cock of the North and Pembroke of Donaldoo. Band, ready, 1, 2.
We now move on to the Bruce Challenge, sponsored by Specsavers Stirling, and this is an exclusive event to Stirling. It's a walking challenge as the athletes basically carry 164.5 kgs up a 20 metre track to see how far they can carry it, and obviously the furthest wins the competition. So we move straight on, and Neil Elliott from Helensburgh's first up. And he's moving pretty quickly there, and that's him at his 20 metres, and round he goes and back down the track. And that's a great second walk down there, and he successfully goes round the post again and back up to the top. And down he goes. That's a great effort by Neil and sets the standard. So next up we've got Murdo Masterson from Dunbeg. So let's see how Murdo does here. And up to the first 20 metres relatively easily, and round he goes. And back down the track. And round the post again. And Murdo's keeping a steady pace here. And that looks good. He's round the post and back up the track again. This is a great, very strong walk from Murdo. He is starting to slow down here, but he is round that post again and heading back down the track. Breathing's heavy, so I'm not sure how much longer he'll go here, but this is a very strong walk. And there we go. Fantastic walk by Murdo there. That's a pretty strong standard. Next up we've got Stuart Anderson from Lochernhead. And Stuart's pace there is pretty quick, so that's positive. And he successfully navigates the post and round he goes and back down the track. Slowing down a bit there. Oh, and there we go. That was enough for Stuart. Good walk. And we're over to Pete Hart now from Glenella. And Pete's picked up the 144.5 kgs and is set off on his walk down the track. Let's see how far Pete can go. And he's made it round that first post. And is heading back down. Almost down to the end. Nope, he's gone down. There we go. Good walk by Pete there. And now we move on to Kyle Randalls from Falkirk. And Kyle just getting himself set, getting the grips right, and he's up and he's off. And he's set a good pace there. He's up to the top of the 20 metres already, and round the post he goes. And he's heading back down. And that's a great pace there from Kyle as he heads round the post and back up the track. He's obviously going to be competing against Murdo here, who set quite a pace and quite a distance there with his walk. But obviously Kyle's up for the challenge. He's back round that post and he's heading back down. This is a great walk by Kyle. But there we go. That's him. He's done. Another great walk. So that's the Bruce Challenge results in. And we have Murdo Masterson coming first and a new record for the competition at 100 metres.
And so for our next set, Battle Club of Hypers Drums will be playing 4/4s, Murdo's Wedding, Flip from Flotta, Wings and Bunny Lass of 5A. Band, ready, 1, 2. So from the Battle Club of Pipes and Drums, our final set of the day will be Baden Rocks and Highland Laddie as a 2/4 time signature. Band, ready, 1, 2.
that's another year done at Stirling Highland Games, and what a brilliant one it was. I hope you enjoyed the programme. There were some amazing athletes out there this year, breaking ground records as well as world records, and we're delighted to have hosted the Balaclava Pipes and Drums again. It's been a pleasure to provide them with an event to compete and perform at. But we wouldn't be able to do all that without the support from Event Scotland, as well as our sponsors Specsavers Stirling, SB Barbering, the Old Black Swan, Forth Valley Chamber and Active Stirling. Thank you to all. On behalf of the Stirling Highland Games Committee, thanks for watching. Stay safe and we look forward to welcoming you in person to Stirling next year on the 20th of August.